This is the Sony RX100 Mark II in 2025. If you're looking to buy a small, compact point and shoot in 2025, you've probably seen the likes of Fuji and Ricoh that cost an arm and a leg. And for someone who's just getting into street photography or needs a small travel compact camera, I probably wouldn't recommend spending that much money. I'm a little bit of a Facebook marketplace junkie when it comes to cameras, and I picked up this RX100 Mark II for $220 US, but this isn't the first time that I've found a steal like this. The RX100 Mark IV, which I have a video on that you can check out here, was actually $250 US as well. Is the screen pretty scratched up? Yeah. And does it show a drop detect warning sometimes when I didn't even drop the camera? Yeah. But does it take amazing raw photos? Also yes. So yeah, if you're addicted to Facebook Marketplace like me, there are some pros in finding deals like this. But in comparison, here are the costs of like the newer Fuji and Ricoh cameras. So what are the pros of the RX100 Mark II? Well, the first thing is that even though it was released in 2013, it has a pretty amazing 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor. I'll leave some of the raw photos from my street shoot in the description below if you just want to download them and play around with your own presets, or I have a free one in the description as well that you can play around with. I do get tired of asking for likes, but it helps the channel more than you know, so I'd really appreciate it, and let's dive back into the video. It also has a pretty cool 3-inch flip screen, which is an upgrade from the Mark I, where it was locked and fixed to the back of the camera. The zoom range on this camera is super cool. It's a 28 to 100 millimeter full frame equivalent, and then for aperture, you get 1.8 on the low end, and you get 4.9 when you're fully zoomed in. To me, the coolest part about these cameras are that it has a built-in flash. It's really sleek in design, and when you need it, it just pops up, and it allows you to get that really hard flash look or play around with long exposure photography. I also mess around with film cameras from time to time, and what I find with the RX100 is I get to use like film emulation presets in Lightroom to kind of like mimic the look. It's never going to be like full film, but the problem with these are that they're really expensive. So like the film itself is like 20 bucks a roll, and then to develop is another 20 bucks. Plus, if you're shooting black and white, the wait times can be up to 2 weeks where I'm from, so it does get to be a little bit much. So that's another pro of the RX100 being digital. You just have those images right away, and you can play around with them right after the shoot. The reason I bring film up is Fuji and Ricoh really market themselves as like film emulation cameras, and that's why they charge a premium dollar for their cameras. See, both those companies have like a film emulation baked in look that goes directly to the JPEG, which saves you having to go to Lightroom and edit your own photos. But for me, I really enjoy that process, so I'm not going to pay the premium to have the camera do that for me. Plus, the raw photos just have the in-camera color, which I would take anyways and edit in Lightroom because that's my favorite part of the process. So when I'm out shooting street photography with cameras like the RX100, I often have another camera mounted to my chest, which is the Osmo Pocket 3. This camera allows me to get BTS to show you guys, but I also am thinking about the music that is going to match that street photography style. I used to spend way too much time typing random things in the search bar and just hoping the perfect song would come up. But lately, I've been keeping it simple with Motion Array. I just filter by genre first, I'll switch it to ambient, and then I hit chill under mood, and literally I have options for days. By just giving the algorithm that combo, it gave me 50 songs per page, and it gave me 420 pages, which is like 20,000 songs. So yeah, if you want music that actually matches the vibe that you're going for, Motion Array makes it easy. Check out the link in my description to get $50 off, and happy editing. So I guess that is a con of this camera, the fact that it doesn't have like that baked in film emulation look. And for a lot of people who are on vacation, they might just want to like share that JPEG picture a little bit quicker and not have to edit it themselves. But what are some other cons of the RX100? Hands down, the biggest con for me is the ergonomics. So on the Ricoh and Fuji, you have dials that will control your shutter speed and aperture, but on the RX100 series, it all happens through a scroll wheel. And I don't have the biggest hands by any stretch of the imagination, but when I wanted to change things like the aperture and shutter speed, it's under the same control and you just have to tap it twice, but the D-pad is an issue because it's so small, and then that scroll wheel also sometimes activates other features on the camera. Another con for this camera is that I wouldn't buy it for video. I can highly recommend it for the price for photography, but it's a little bit dated in terms of like the quality in 1080p, and then also it has no in-body image stabilization, and I find it just like super shaky even with active stabilization turned on. And the last con that I want to bring up that's worth noting is that it does have that 3-inch LCD screen, but it's missing an EVF like my Mark IV has, and I found because I was shooting in daylight and then like into sundown, Specifically, like earlier when the sun was bright, it was difficult and challenging to kind of see what was going on that LCD screen. I think it's super easy to get lost in the sea of new cameras and always want to upgrade and discredit something like the RX100 that's 12 years old. But if you're strictly looking for a small compact camera that produces like really good images because it has a nice lens built in, I would say definitely the RX100 is for the purpose of street photography or travel. It's small, compact, lightweight. And if you can get over the cons of the Mark II not having a viewfinder and then also being like a little bit cumbersome to use, I do think that if you find it at a good deal, it's 100% worth buying. I just wanted you to know that there's alternatives out there and you don't have to go out and buy the latest and greatest Fuji or Ricoh for this purpose. So I hope that helps. In terms of this camera, I give it a 10 out of 10 for value if you're a photographer, and I also give it like a 7 out of 10 for ease of use because it's just kind of cumbersome. But that's pretty much it. We'll see you in the next video. Matty out. Peace.